Welcome back to the channel. I'm Joe Potter and this is the Vintage Underground. And I am back on the Jag and back in the dash area where I have been for a while. If you've watched previous videos, you know this has been a struggle, but I'm actually making progress and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Please do like and subscribe. It makes a big difference on these videos for us, so please do like and subscribe. All right, on to what I'm doing here. When I originally started this project, I knew I wanted a completely different dash and layout in the cockpit. And I had a rendering done of what I wanted, which is, I guess, kind of a more modern, if not much more simple concept than what was originally here. The original dash still has the flat dash, kind of the almost left over from the E-Type or even the XK series on these Jags, which had a very flat dash and a big pad that came out a long ways. And I wanted to do away with that. I wanted something very simple with minimal buttons and just almost nothing on here but a display, a digital display. Some people may not like that concept. I like the simplicity of it. So it's just a direction I chose to go. I also wanted the dash farther away or farther sunk into the car. Now I've got this mocked up. I have wireframed the design, and this is just a hard stock board, and I've mocked it up. And it's in the reasonably close dimensions of what I want. There's some features here, obviously missing the overhang here, the protrusion here, and a few other, and how this integrates, how the console integrates into the dash. But this is the rough dimensions, and it works. That's what I really wanted to know out of this, was that if the layout worked with these seats that I chose, with this wheel, with this dash layout. And so the dash is farther away or deeper into the car, which I like. It also has a slope to it that slopes down into the console, which I like. This is cool because I've actually not seen this rendering or this design laid out, and I like the way that it's come out, and I'm pleased with it. So what I'm doing now, and the original goal here was to get this in this shape so I can scan it. We'll use a digital scanner and we'll scan this. I will then remove this and will again scan the shapes underneath. And what I will have done is I will have a piece of foam cut using a 5-axis CNC to create a mold for a fiberglass layup. So I'll have the design of the dash in a mold that I can lay up the fiberglass on in its various pieces and make a permanent solution. All that, what's left to do is in the design. So we've got artwork, which is the rendering. I've got this rough physical representation of it. We still have to do the CAD work in between, where we actually design and draw out the physical shapes of what we want, and that has yet to be done. And that'll be the same person that will be doing the design for the mold. So another big step to go, but this is a huge step. And really, for me, the big question was, do I like how this feels? Do I like the layout and the distance and the simplicity of it? And I'll kind of show you here on the layout. You'll see in the rendering there was an attempt to really keep it simple. So there's nothing here. There's nothing here but the two vents, and I had everything concentrated in the center console. This is my primary display here. This is a secondary display for the AC and a few other controls, and these are control switches. Now, the original design, I didn't account for the control buttons, and obviously I've just got these all blacked out of where they would go. But I do like the distance and the feel of everything. I like the look of this display, and I like the look of this display, very clean. I don't like the look of these switches. So these devices are all CAN bus. So there's no wiring up here. There's just the CAN bus connection that goes up to this dash. So that's another thing that one of my goals, and I guess part of that comes from just working on old cars for a long time with just tons of wiring and whatnot at the dash. And I wanted it very clean and no wiring. So it's just going to be CAN bus connections to these 4 devices. The switches, I don't like the look of them, and so I hadn't accounted for them in the original layout. And I had always hoped of doing a display and controlling everything from there. But the reality of it is that I don't want any switches anywhere. So turn signal switches, any and everything, door windows, power window switches. I don't want any switches anywhere, and that's just not going to be reasonable to do that from a display. So I need physical buttons, and so those are going to go down here. But I don't like the look of them, and so I think we're going to add to the design and recess those down into the console and come up with a door like scenario to hide them, and just pop it open when I want to use them, and then aesthetically that'll be hidden when they're not in use. So this is really exciting for me. I love this. I love the feel and the shape of it. It's going where I want, and this is a big step. There's a bit of frustration behind this dash and getting the AC unit and finding the room to get it in there, and that's done. We're getting all the connecting pieces 3D printed. I did have to make some modifications to the heater box, and I'll show you that. This is the top of the heater box that I'm using. This is a piece from Resto Mod Air, and this is a part of the mock-up unit, which I clearly have taken apart. But it sits in there at an odd angle, and so I've 3D designed in CAD replacements for this and these air outlets to redirect them. Also, the fan feeds in from the side of this unit, which I'm not going to be using. I'm going to be using the original fan from the Jag, and so I needed a transition piece to go between the two, and we have drawn that in CAD, and we'll have that 3D printed as well. So I should have those pieces coming back reasonably soon, and that'll complete that, other than the plumbing, which should be able to get into place pretty easy. But coming to a conclusion on the dash, this has been a big step and a big unknown. So really pleased with where we're going. So a couple other items in the dash I am playing with. So this is something I got out of a wrecking yard, and this is I think it's out of an Acura, but you've seen these in cars where it's just the push, touch, and release. And this is what I want to do over my switches. So I got this not to use it, but to perhaps harvest the mechanisms and figure out how they did this so I can make my own door. So I like that. The other thing is this cup holder. Trent put me onto this, and I like this. I think this is out of an Audi, but it's a very cool because it's very small. That's the presentation on the dash. And so what you get is this action for a cup holder out of a very small presentation, which I think's really cool. So I'm going to try to integrate that into the dash as well, although I got to find room for it. I think that's about it. Next steps are getting the design done in CAD for the dash, and then ultimately the mold for the fiberglass layup. So pretty excited about that. I'm ready to move on to other parts of this car and keep moving. So we're really close here. And again, please do like and subscribe. We do appreciate y'all, and we'll see you on the next one.